is going on, everyone? My name is Matt, and I ain't got no swag, I ain't got no charisma, but I do have a really fun episode for you guys this week, so let's get right into this week's episode. Don't know where I came up with that, but let's get going. Kicking things off, we have a Pinsir from Jungle Set, and this is the no symbol error. A fun repeating error sold in auction for $837. And I should mention, this is a PSA 10. Now, I've been having fun looking at these PSA 10 no symbols for some reason. No, not for some reason, because there is it's a wild, wild west out there for these cards. It's really cool. Now, eBay has this stupid thing going on right now where you really can't zoom in that much. You see how this is zoomed out? We'll get through it, though. So, PSA 10, Pinsir. Not much to look at. You know, they're all kind of the same. I would say they're all perfect cards. They all have no symbol. And the price is what we're looking at here. So sold for $837 in auction. EVI of 65%. So average non-error price, $507. And average error price for this is $787. So we're a little bit higher than the average, which is nice to see. It's cool to see these cards trending upward. Next card. Next up, we have a PSA 7 base set Charizard with the black dot error. Now, PSA's got to get their crap together. They are very inconsistent. So, first off, sold for $550 in auction, 37 bids. No error label. I've seen them have this error label before, though. So, I don't know if it's just if you don't submit it with the error, actually, they won't count it. But I've seen examples where they've done that. So, I don't know what they're doing over there, but yeah, let's talk about the card. So, black dot Charizard. We have a black dot over the N and the E in Nintendo. This is a repeating error. Along with this, there is a hollow bleed right here that we're not going to be able to see, but also a hollow shift here. So there is a 1 or 2 millimeters shifted upward is the hollow foil within the art box. A very cool repeating error. And EVI is about typical for this, around 30%. So $130 added to this card. Boy, and I hope this becomes a trend. Here we have a PSA 10 double hollow error Ho-Oh from Neo Revelation. The way to tell with Ho-Oh, if it's a double hollow, is look at this. All of the hollow is kind of swallowing up Ho-Oh. And also, the eyes are a little bit darker. That was one thing that I noticed, one detail I hadn't noticed before. So, very cool, but this is big dog territory. Again, kind of like the PSA 10 no symbols. You never know what's going to happen, really. So, EVI for a standard double hollow variant, not first edition, is between 80% and 200. Never goes outside of that. It's very consistent, but PSA 10s, whole different ballgame. Error value increase 570%. That is really incredible. $4,600 of value added to this over the average non-error price. Incredible. In auction too. So that is really, really cool to see. Man, that really is incredible. I don't have much more to say about it, but I really hope more double hollow errors sell soon in the PSA 10 example because it's really fun to see these prices. So next up we have a CGC 9 Paris from Jungle Set, and this is an obstruction error, and this is a repeating error too. So what it is there was something that got away in the printing process, and right here you can see it obstructed a little bit of the symbol here, a little bit of the 0 here, and it cut through this line here and right here. So boy, I don't know what shape that would have been, but a very cool repeating error, one that is documented on Bulbapedia, and yeah, just a fun error. I don't know, one that when you get obstruction of this size that kind of takes ink away, I'll always talk about them. I really do enjoy them. This sold for $75 and had an EVI of 519%. Next up, we have a Charizard from XY Evolutions with a hollow bleed. PSA 8 example of this. Listed for $699. Sold for $350, so with the best accepted offer price. Now let's take a look. I really do like these hollow bleeds on these Evolutions cards. Very interesting. Now, one piece of advice I want to give to the seller, please include the back of the card. Even if it's a graded card, people still want to see it. You know, I heard the advice before, buy the card, not the grade. You can tell the condition of the card better by looking at the back. Maybe it's not really worth a PSA 8, or maybe it's worth more. You know, they think it could get a grade 9 if they cross-grade it or something. So always good to give as much information as possible, but that's the only criticism I have here. Very, very cool card. Great photo showing the Holo Bleed going through here. And yeah, EVI of 400%, which is very solid for a Charizard. Next up, we have a CGC9 Rockets Moltres, and this is from Gym Heroes. And this is an additional ink error. That yellow ink. Now, what this reminds me of is the spray paint animation from GTA. No, not that one. This one. Yeah, I've been playing GTA San Andreas on my iPad, and I have a PS4 controller, or a PS5 controller, and I've been having fun with it. But yeah, it really reminds me. Just all of that peppered through there. Look at that. That is incredible. Covering 40% of the card, and just like the contrast of what the additional ink looks like on the holo box itself, and also on the bottom of the card here. Just really incredible. And obviously we love when grading companies recognize errors like this. So cool. Look at that. Just a really cool artwork in general too. Very nostalgic for me, I would say. Average non-error price is around $100 for this. So 500% EVI and $500 of value added to this card. Very cool one. Hey, quick PSA here. I have another channel, a non-Pokemon channel, and I just posted a new video. I plan on posting weekly. I've posted every week for just about a year, and I feel like I've gotten better, and I want to do that for my day-to-day channel. So if you can tolerate me on this channel, maybe you can tolerate me on that one too. I'd appreciate if you check it out. Thank you. Next up, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure why I chose this card really. Here we have a Pikachu Snap promo card. This is from the Trainer magazine, so I believe there's different artworks of this card, but this, the photo symbol tells us that it is from the Trainer magazine, I believe. And this is just got an off-center error from PSA, so a PSA 8 off-center. And I just thought it was unique. I don't know. This is a cool artwork, a cool card, and one that I just thought was cool to see misaligned, so not off-center. But they don't have misalignment errors. So yeah, just shifted to the right a little bit, has a little bit thicker border on the left, and we did not have grade 8 information for this. So I just guessed, well, I said the grade 9, which this is kind of technically would be, goes for $325. So actually got a good deal on this card too, whoever purchased this. And interesting to see what the big dog grades look like. You got even SGC 10 going for $3,000, but you have all the other ones too, just climbing up the ladder there, all the way up to the BGS Black Label, around $12,000. So incredible. Obviously this one didn't sell for that much, but a cool card and just a slight error. Sometimes you just have to notice the little things in life, so that's why I'm giving you here, a good reminder. But sometimes you gotta say screw the little things and go for the big errors. Here we have a Voltorb from base set 2. CGC 7.5 sold for $91, and this has a big obstruction. Boy, it looks like a leaf, like a petal from a flower, doesn't it? I am so bad at flowers. My wife loves gardening, and I try to learn them, but I'm just so bad. But it looks like they printed the card, and then it like fell on there, and it just got attached to the card. Very cool though, in all honesty, or in me not joking around about flower petals. This is an obstruction error, yep, and basically just prevented the ink from setting all the way around here. I'm not sure what exactly would cause this, but you can see there's a little bit of transparency there, so you can see a little bit of the border, a little bit of the outline of Voltorb there, and yeah, just a very cool one. And one, base set 2, it doesn't really get that much recognition in the error world because as far as I know, the biggest one you want to search for is the Blue Flame Magmar. Yeah, that's the only one that I know is kind of the same repeating error for base set 2, so whenever I'm scrolling through eBay looking for an error, if I see base set 2, I kind of go over it pretty quickly, but obviously this would be one that you could find pretty easily. EVI of 1200%. Not in the top 10. I realize I have not snapped my fingers once yet, but we will get there, I promise. I really do. I promise, I promise, I promise. And that promise is fulfilled. Here we have a base set Clefable. Here we have a Clefable from Jungle Set, and this is a wonky miscut. Twisted a little bit. Now, it doesn't look like it's twisted really, just like the orientation of it doesn't. Like, this looks straight up and down, but then you look here and you see that the border is thicker here, here, no border, a little bit more border here. There's always so much math involved with this, even though I don't actually do the calculations. Listed for 800 Australian, best accepted offer was 400 Australian, which converts to $254.13. Average non-error price, we'll get there, but let me talk about the card first. Look at that. You can always tell it's real effed up when the corner goes like this too, where it kind of slants down. That's fun. Take a look at the back. A little bit of whitening, but really not too bad. Boy, now that I'm learning more about graded cards, like, is this in the realm of grade 7? I think it might be, honestly. Maybe not. Maybe 6. But yeah, very cool. And you can see a consistent miscut from the front and the back. So we have thin to thicker, thicker to thickest, and same on the back here, just flipped. So EVI for this, average non-error price, $11.65. That gives us a 2,081% error value increase. And that's good enough for number 9 this week. Okay, now normally when I talk about Nintendo errors, I have a PSA 10 example, but I wanted to show this just to kind of show the investment side of Pokemon. So here we have an Ancient Mew promo card with the Nintendo error. So right here you can see the third end Nintendo is missing. And this is a repeating error, one that's well known, and I like tracking the PSA 10 examples because they range typically between $900 and $1,400. Now, I failed to add the error price here, but just believe me, $1,200 is what you're shooting for. But someone saw this, they paid $350 for this error, and I believe that is because they believe they can submit it and get a PSA 10 out of it. Basically tripling their investment. There's too many factors involved that would kind of make me wary, and also sometimes, you know, grading is subjective, so it just might all be for naught. I don't know, but yeah, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to show this side of it instead of just a PSA 10. This could be a pre-PSA 10. EVI of 327%. Now, if you've been watching this channel for several episodes, you'll always hear me gripe about Topps miscuts not getting the love that they deserve, and that is rectified today. So here we have a Topps Pokemon card, episode 19, The Ghost of Maiden Peak. And this is a miscut, as you can see. So it shifted over, let's say, 4/5 of an inch. I always use just a standard or a really weird measurement whenever I'm doing this. It'll be millimeters, centimeters, inches, half a finger, I don't know. But this one I chose inches and shifted quite a bit though. That's all I'm really saying. And very, very cool. There's a lot going on with this card. You can see we have Ghastly here, about 50% opacity, and then this last right here, about 50% opacity. So there's already like a kind of a duality there, but then you have another card going on here, but part of the border here is consistent between the two cards, so just a lot going on and very cool and very unique. Now let's take a look at the back. As I'm talking about the back, this card was listed for $155 and got a best accepted offer price of $100. So this is a misaligned card then. So front is all effed up, back is perfectly centered. So very unique, very cool, and average non-error price for this sucker, $2.36. So that gives us a 4,137% error value increase, which is good enough for number 3 this week. Yeah, love to see this getting some love. Lots of photos too. Thank you, seller, for that. We like seeing every single angle of this card. Next up, we have an Air Diplin from Prismatic Evolutions. And this is a texture shift. Very cool. Never seen Diplin before. Air Diplin's fun to say though, so I'll let it go. Sold for $95 in auction. Very cool. Now let's take a look. I'm gonna zoom in here because it's not gonna work. You can see texture is shifted over, so I believe this is where the border would be. This is typically perfectly centered in the card. And no, it's shifted up too, because we have this right here should be behind here. So it's always fun with this to see the different tells for how misaligned it is, misaligned the texture is. Very cool. So obviously this set is very new, so it's fun to see the new errors that come out with these sets and the prices that they can have too. and just how the prices stack up with the graded cards as well. So we have a raw card here, sold for $95. That sold for more than a PSA 10, more than a BGS 10, more than a CGC 10. Only the BGS Black Label beats it. So very cool error, and it has an EVI of 1400%, which is not in the top 10. All right, next up, here's another one of my fixes for the no symbol jungle errors for PSA 10s. We have a Victorybell Holo, no symbol, listed for $999.99. Best accepted offer price, $999.99. And let's take a look. Not much to see. Again, no symbol, PSA 10, supposedly perfect. And average non-error price, $550. So $450 of value added to this card, and this one sold for around $380 more than the average error price for this. So very interesting, very cool to see, and again, those prices are trending upward. I saw one other example of this card from PSA listed for around $5,000, so that person is going for the sit and wait a really long time, and hopefully someone gives you even half of what you're asking for, and that's where the price just really shoots up. So we'll see if something comes of that, but this card sold for a cool grand. All right, next up we have a Hoppip from Rapid Strike getting some love. Here we have a vertical crimp, a very cool phenomenon that happens that's actually pretty rare. So what happens is, I'll get my demonstration here. We'll use the base set 2 for this one. So here we have a base set 2 empty pack, and on the back you see all these lines here. This is, oh god, plastic right here. That is what basically got crimped on Hoppip there. Very interesting. Most of the time you see a crimp error, it's the top right there, but not in this case. So this one is a lot more rare, and definitely why it sold for more. Listed for $79, sold for $59. Very cool, strong crimp. Very fun to think of how messed up the alignment with the crimping machine had to go in order to make this indentation on the card. See, corner's a little dinged up. Probably wouldn't get a perfect 10, even because I know CGC would grade this, but I think they take the crimp out of the equation because obviously that would make the surface not perfect. But might just get a 9. I don't know. Be cool to see this one graded, but yeah, sold for a lot, and it goes for a lot more than the average non-error price. Goes for $1 usually if this doesn't have a huge crimp on it, which gives us an error value increase of 5,860%, which is good enough for number 2 this week. Very cool, and nice to see Hoppip getting some love here. Next up, we have a couple of cool miscuts here. We have a couple cards with the big brain.
I am starting a school for the gifted. It's not like the X-Men, okay? It's way different. All right, I got this dude who knows everything about trains, but he can only eat chicken nuggets.
If you don't follow Graham Barrett on YouTube or Instagram, please follow him right now. I think he is one of the funniest people ever. But I always think of that when I see the big brain. Let's take a look. Listed for $99, sold for $99, and yeah, crazy miscuts. Look at this. That's so cool. Especially these GX cards, you know, the borders are already very unique, and to see it miscut like this and really see these patterns kind of go through the hollow foil, very cool, very unique. We have an alignment dot here, alignment dot here, and obviously shifted quite a bit. Now, to calculate this, I just took the average non-error price of both, added them together. In my humble opinion, these cards could have sold for a lot more because, look at the white here, edge of sheet miscuts. So a lot rarer and usually add a lot more value to the cards. Boy, for some of the cards I've seen sold before that are best accepted offer price, maybe $500 for the pair. I really would not be surprised if you wait long enough. I think both these cards definitely could reach that price. They're just too unique of a miscut, and just ones that you really won't find too often. So very cool cards. I am sad they didn't sell for more, but someone got a good deal. So congrats to whoever purchased these. And yeah, ones, again, you really won't see too often. So very cool. It's that time of the week where I take something cool that happened to someone else and use it for my own personal gain. Here we have a user, NYCZO. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I just kind of spelled it. And they are a member of the Pokemon misprints, a cool subreddit where we show error cards and answer questions and everything, and this popped up and I thought I should get a little bit more information on it. So the user likes to buy cards off of TikTok Live, mainly Cali Poke House, their stream, and they said it's a fun community and it's fun to get to see the cards ripped live and sent to them. And so they purchased some English Twilight Masquerade, and that is where this card got pulled. So here we have a Torkoal, and you can see it is missing about 40% of this card. A very unique error where a portion of this card got obstructed, basically meaning something got in the way of the printing process and did not allow this side of the card to be printed. Let's take a closer look here and see. Real close to look at that. So basically this is what the holo foil looks like behind the card. Now it was brought to my attention that this could be an error that someone else could replicate. If you put tape right here to preserve this side of the card, you could actually use acetone and clean off a portion of the card. I'll show an example here that someone in a Discord group created just to kind of show the process. And it's like, well shoot, how do we know if this card is actually legit then? Well, we have a live video of it. That's right, let's take a look. And shout out to Cali Poke House. It sounds like this team does a great job with live openings and obviously had the integrity to send this person this card. I've heard that's been an issue before where some people don't get the cool card that they pull. And here we are, look at that, his face shows it all. Pulling an error live and having a recording of it. Is there anything cooler in the TCG? I don't know. That is so cool. Holy cow. And I think he shows it here, but the back of the card is actually normal too. That's one thing that I think is important to highlight. Take a look, see right there, it's normal. I think they show it too. Maybe not, but yeah, take my word for it. I'll show a picture on the screen here too. They say here in their post that they plan on getting it graded with CGC, so I hope CGC recognizes it. If they have any pushback, I'd say send them the video and say, hey, clearly this is an error that happened in the factory. And I hope there is a way to tell the difference between what happened here and something that someone could replicate, because this is really a crazy phenomenon to happen, and it would be a shame if it weren't able to be properly authenticated. But I'm an optimist, so I hope it will. Shout out to the user NYCZO. Shout out to Cali Poke House for pulling this error and sending it to the user. And yes, put that bad boy in a thumbnail. So next up we have a basic grass energy with a retained obstruction. Now that's the first time I've really, it made sense what the error is for an obstruction. It just like, it was nice to know. So a couple things, grass energies from this era of Scarlet and Violet. I've seen so many of them effed up. It's fun to see just how many different ways you can screw up a Pokemon card, and this is definitely a new one. So this one sold at auction for $100. They listed it at $100. One person bid, and I think whoever got this got a great deal. But also, you know, $100 for a Pokemon card, for a Grass Energy card, very good. So look at here. Something obstructed the printing process. So basically, retained obstruction would be something got in the way and was retained on the card. Very cool. I don't know what these numbers even mean. Obviously, probably just a behind the scenes of what sheet is getting printed here. But one I haven't seen before. See, back is very clean. Obviously, with a CGC 8, obviously a very clean card. And looks like tape, maybe, part of the obstruction. Average non-error price for a grade 8. $5. So EVI of 1900%, but not in the top 10. Now here is the importance of knowledge. Here we have a Haunter from Fossil Set with the ink smear error. That is the right way to say it. You could say the blue ink smear error, if I could say it right. Whatever it is, it's basically there is blue ink going across the side of the card. Someone called it the oil spill error. And yes, I think of that episode from Bob's Burgers. A very cool error, and one, it's not that severe, it didn't sell for that much. Why am I talking about it? Because I was walking around Menards doing some home improvement planning, and I saw this auction, and so I just walked around the store for like 15 minutes because I was going to bid on it. It was at like $15. I set a bid of $30, and someone outbid me. I bid with like 15 seconds left. Someone had a higher bid price, and they won it. Congrats to whoever did that. I think you got a great deal. Even though this card isn't too severe of an error, I still think that is a really good deal for this. So just wanted to talk about it because I was one who bid on it. Thought I could get a steal. Was unable to. Just collected my home improvement goods and left the store after not winning. I wasn't too upset about it though. You know, it's good to set a limit and just if I got it for 30 bucks, I'd be happy. But I knew if someone paid more, they deserved it more than I did. EVI of 183% and added $22 of value still to the card. So hey, not bad. But yeah, name your errors properly on your eBay listings and you should get more money. Next up, we have a Leafeon V from Crown Zenith, and this is a twisted or a wonky miscut. A skewed miscut. eBay's not showing me the right dang view. Sold for $80. It was listed for $150. And let's take a look. Twisted in the frame. These ones are always so cool. So, Pokemon card border is straight. The rest of the card twisted several degrees. I'm not going to guess how much. And very cool to see. Obviously one that someone wanted enough where they paid $80 for it, which is quite the premium, which is good. I mean, like, it's fun to see these unique cards get the money that they deserve. Moreover, the person who is selling it gets the money. I don't believe any of the proceeds actually go to Leafeon. But yeah, I think these V cards definitely have a high ceiling on them. We saw one, granted it was a crazy error, but a V error sold for $1,000 recently. So yeah, you never know what you're gonna get. Average non-error price of $1.99, which gives us a 3,920% error value increase, which is good enough for number 4 this week. Alright, next up we have an Eevee from Prismatic Evolutions, and this is another texture shift. Now let's take a look because I don't believe this is from the same seller, but let's see if the orientation of it looks similar to the one that already sold. So this one sold in auction for $250. Oh, come on, eBay. Okay, maybe that's our best view. We'll see. So I believe this one is just shifted over to the left. We have here what looks like the border, but that wouldn't tell us up and down. I believe this belongs right here. So that tracks. This is about the same distance here as here, and doesn't look like much shifting up or down. So not from the same sheet. Odds would be very low of that, but it happens. But very cool card, and one that sold for a lot. $250 for a modern Pokemon card from a set that just came out is pretty unheard of. You know, you have your chase cards that'll go for a lot, but you got your gosh darn errors here that'll go for a lot too. So it's fun. Average non-error price, $7. So error value increase of 3,359%, which is good enough for number 7 this week. Next up, we have a Porygon 2, a first edition Porygon 2 from Neo Revelation with a double holo. So this is a double holo variant. And this got graded a CGC 8.5. Now, not a groundbreaking sale. If anything, actually, this seems like it was a little bit low from what my data tells me should be the actual price for it. But I've never talked about double holo Porygon 2. Never really even considered it. So let's take a look. Here's how you can tell. White border around Porygon. You see that right there? All the way around. And interesting enough, this could just be the angle of the photo, but it looks like there's less holo almost. Obviously, that could just be a lighting thing. Could be because it's in the case. Looks like just a darker photo, but yeah, definitely the easiest way to tell would be the border around Porygon here. So typically, EVI range for standard edition double holo variants is between 50 and 200%. My cat's food is going off if you can hear that. For first edition double holos, Bulbapedia says that they're much more rare, and I've seen the EVI is pretty typically around 3 to 400%. So that's why I thought this card should have sold for more. So EVI of 99%, and you can see it was just purchased at the price it was listed for. So aim high, shoot for the stars. List it for $800. See what happens. And then when someone buys it for $500, everyone's happy. Very cool card though, and again, cool to see what the double holo looks like for it. Next up, we have an Eevee promo card from Prismatic Evolutions. Now, the old Matt a couple weeks ago would say, "Holy cow, $405 for a crimped card." Well, no, this is also a Pokemon Center card. So that adds a lot of value. You can see average non-error price $125. But this one sold for $405 in auction. Now let's take a look here. I'll click back in. Crimp on the bottom. Shrimp on the Barbie. Yeah, just a very expensive card already, and then you add a crimp to it, and it adds gosh darn near $300 of value. Very cool. Yeah, standard crimp right across here, and get this sucker graded. It's in good condition. Maybe it'll be worth even more. What was the starting bid for this? 300. Okay, nice. Next up, we have a Dark Dragonite from Team Rocket set with the no holo error. We got 582 was reserved for the holo, but it's on the non-holo card. A very cool repeating error that sells for a lot. Very consistently, especially a card like this that is in very good condition. Now, we don't have pricing for non-holo errors for standard edition. We have first edition pricing, but price charting does not have that. This sold for $500. A raw, non-holo Pokemon card sold for $500. Very cool. Obviously, this is going to be graded, and it's going to be worth more money than they paid for. Again, the investor hat going on, taking a look, see what they're doing, and yeah. EVI, always crazy. 3,900% because the average non-error price is only $12.50. 3,900% is good enough for number 5 this week. All right, here, I said I'd stop talking about them, but the sales keep going up, so I'm just like, I'll talk about one. Here we have a Zoroark Ultra Rare with the wrong texture. This is the card that the texture is actually on here. I thought that'd be more interesting to show that. Okay, there we go. So again, here is kind of how I see this. Boop-a-doop, boop-a-doop. But I'm sure there is plenty of other ways to see that. Now, we've seen these at first selling for around $1,000. Price keeps going up, and now they're getting up to the higher values where the EVI is actually in the top 10. So average non-error price for this card, Japanese Zoroark Ultra Rare, $54. This one sold for $2,100 and has an EVI of 3,765%, which is good enough for number 6 this week. So I think, I don't know if it's overhyped, but again, there's a capped amount of these now, and they're kind of just like bouncing around, and people keep thinking, you know, the price is going up, I better get one. The price might come down to some point. It definitely will, but it's hard to say when. So I don't know if I would spend $2,000 on this. Actually, I know I wouldn't because I'm a broke-ass bitch. But yeah, congrats to whoever does have the money to spend this much money on a Pokemon card, because that is really cool. But yeah, I swear, this is the last time I'll talk about it, unless one sells for a lot higher. Alright, next up we have the Ink Splash iCarp error, a cool repeating error that usually sells for, I would say, $60 to $120, $150. This one sold for a lot less. Listed for $113, best accepted offer price. Best accepted was $31. I feel like I've offered that on some of these before. It was actually embarrassing. Some of them have sold, and then when I went to reach out to them, I realized I had already asked them if they would take a low price, and they said no. But yeah, I feel like why didn't they sell it to me at this price? Obviously, the card's in just about perfect shape. You know, a little nick here in the corner or whatnot. But yeah, $31 is a lot lower than this should be going for. Obviously, big ink error right here. But despite it selling for a lot less than it should, the EVI is still in the top 10. Around 2,900% error value increase. Good enough for number 8 this week. Crazy stuff here. Next up, we have a cool-ass miscut. Probably my favorite type. Here we have a Charmander from Pokemon Sun and Moon, Hidden Fates, and this is a severe miscut. Got graded PSA 9 miscut, so a perfect card besides the miscut. This is how PSA labels it. And I love it when it's perfectly centered, but it's just shifted down. So you can't see any of the information about Charmander here, but you got a good idea of this other card here. And I just think that's the coolest thing. And it's also when it's just like it's shifted just enough where you can see the alignment dot here too. And the back, consistent. This part of the Pokemon symbol cut off, it's right here. And the alignment dot right there. A perfect card in many senses of the word. Listed for $400, sold for $275. And that EVI of 2,050% is good enough for number 10. PSA couldn't give it the 10, but I did. It's pretty good. Next up, first edition Squirtle. English card. Big brain, top heavy miscut. Off center, I would say. No alignment dot. Not the craziest, but I saw this one. I'll just keep an eye on the auction. I wasn't bidding on it, but it's just kind of fun when you see the auctions happen. You know, they're happening in real life. You see them happening live, and it's fun to see what actually happened then. Very clean card, very clean. And oh, Matt, you idiot! Why did I put $10.49? Average non-error price for this is $83. This sold for $66. I don't know what I was doing. But, yeah, so this card actually sold for less than average, even though it's in perfect condition, and definitely will get an off-standard grade from, I would say, any of the grading companies. So, a cool auction for $66. And here's another error for you guys. I know you love them. Where the hell is it? There it is. The winner this week, because we have winners and losers on this channel. Krabby from Fossil Set with the slash error. Thank God. Right here. Missing ink makes it look like a finger. Very cool repeating error. This card sells for a lot. It's in great shape too, look at that. Now, we don't have information for a perfect 10. We've not seen one sold, at least I have not, and price charting has not either. But even a grade 8 or 9 would be a profit for whoever purchased this. I love this error. I hope this grade gets a 10, and I hope they sell it, and then I can talk about it. We're just admiring here. Average non-error price, it's low, $1.21 for a raw card. Also average error price, $135. You can see, again, this one, great condition. That gives an EVI of 17,255%, which is good enough for number 1 this week. Number 1. Moosey, come here. Good enough for number 1 this week. Thank you so much for watching. I had a blast filming it this week. And if you made it this far, why not subscribe? Give me a like too, that makes me feel good. I'm off to Puerto Rico next week. Don't know what I'll be doing for a video, but we won't have a normal video. And if it's not a video, I'm enjoying some time off. I love you guys. Goodbye.